Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. If you love breaking down the game's biggest strategic decisions, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now for more of the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Today, we are wrestling with, well, a colossal task. We're dissecting the 5 biggest, maybe the most painful selection headaches facing Rassie Erasmus, especially as the Springboks head into this massive grudge match against France this Saturday. Stade de France. Big one.
Huge. And it's not just any test match, is it? This is the first time they've met since that incredibly dramatic 2023 World Cup quarterfinal. The stakes feel incredibly high. And what really makes this interesting, I think, is how the Boks are coming into it. They've got significant pressure, definitely amplified by these untimely setbacks, injuries, absences. It's hampered their prep, no doubt.
Yeah, you can feel that pressure.
Yeah.
And the clearest sign of it, the selection delay, the team announcement. It wasn't Monday or Tuesday like usual. Now, our sources are suggesting, well, one of two things are going on here, both pretty dramatic.
It's fascinating, isn't it? This whole element of strategic gamble. So that delay, is it because the selection debates behind closed doors are just that intense? And honestly, based on the dilemmas we're about to dig into, they must be huge. Or is it a deliberate ploy, a calculated move just to keep Fabien Galthy, the French coach, guessing right up until the very last minute?
But hang on, if Rassie's already juggling these preparation issues, these untimely setbacks, wouldn't delaying the team sheet maybe risk looking a bit unprepared? Rather than strategic, why take that risk?
Well, I think it's because the headaches are so fundamental, especially in the front row, revealing their hand too early on that. It just hands Galthy a massive tactical advantage. So Rassie might be thinking, okay, secrecy here is more important than sticking to the usual rigid preparation timeline. It's a trade-off.
Okay, let's unpack this then. And really, we have to start with that absolutely mammoth gap left by Ox Nche being out.
Oh, it's a crisis. You can't really call it anything else. Losing Ox Nche. I mean, many analysts, you hear them saying he's the best loosehead prop in the world right now. It's a devastating blow. And like you said, it's not just him. It really compounds a front row problem that's been brewing since the World Cup. Steven Kitshoff retired. Friends Malherbe has been sidelined all year. And then you add Jan-Hendrik Wessels failing his ban appeal. Suddenly, that depth chart looks severely tested.
Which brings us smack bang into headache number 1, the loosehead question. Who steps in for Ox? Who takes on that immense pressure? We know this was a huge debate point between Erasmus and the Scrum guru Don Human. It even led to that emergency call-up for Asanathi Nche, who's actually a tight head.
Right. Let's look at the options, the trade-offs they must have weighed up. Option A, probably the safest bet, is Gerhard Steenkamp. He came back against Japan, looked good, showed no signs of rust, as they say. He's the straightforward call if you want stability, known quality.
Okay, safe option. But then there's the strategic shift, option B. Do they actually move Thomas du Toit from tight head, where he's been, frankly, most destructive? Do they shift him across to cover loose head? Now, on paper, du Toit is versatile, we know that. But what's the tactical cost? What do you lose by moving him?
Well, the tactical cost is potentially stability at tight head. Du Toit's been absolutely superb there, that specific anchored power. Moving him sacrifices that strength. But the potential gain is huge, too. It maximizes their famous bomb squad flexibility later on. It feels like a classic Rassie gamble, doesn't it? Sacrifice a bit of specific dominance now for that generalized utility later in the match.
And then option C, the challenger. Bone Venter. He's definitely impressed in his 5 appearances this season. But the French pack, we know how powerful they are. Is Venter ready for that kind of raw starting pressure? The risk there is throwing a less experienced guy into, well, the most volatile area against probably the world's best pack.
And that spills directly into headache number 2, doesn't it? The tight head fallout. If Rassie does take that gamble, if he shifts du Toit to loose head, then the tight head roles are suddenly split between Wilco Louw, who will either start or be on the bench, and then someone extremely inexperienced alongside him.
Yeah, we're talking about picking between Zachary Porthen, who literally just debuted against Japan, or Nche Replacement, the Lions guy who's just been called up after, dealing with that doping test issue.
Exactly. So the problem isn't a lack of bodies as such. It's that it forces a complete restructure. They need to find a combination somehow that can still achieve dominance, or at least parity, against a French scrum known for its aggression. This whole part of the selection feels like it's driven by maybe desperation and tactical risk, rather than just picking the absolute best player for each spot.
Right, okay. Moving out of the pack for a second, let's look at the back line. The midfield magic, as we're calling it. Because Rassie's got choices here that could really define the whole flow of the game.
Yeah, let's tackle headache number 3, the fly half conundrum. You've got Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu, only 23, but he started the last 4 tests. And these weren't easy games. We're talking All Blacks Ireland. He's played, as the reports say, well beyond his 23 years. Erasmus has clearly put a lot of faith in him.
But the question isn't about his talent, is it? It's about the environment. Do you expose this young guy, talented as he is, to starting a test match in the South of France? I mean, that's arguably one of the most hostile environments in world rugby. Or is this the moment you say, okay, let's bring back the experience, the proven game management of Manny Leboeck or Handré Pollard?
It's a real balancing act, isn't it, between that long-term strategy investing in Sacha and the short-term necessity of winning this massive game. Starting Sacha sends a strong message. It says Rassie is backing the future. And Eddie Jones actually pointed this out. He gives the Boks a different threat, that unpredictability, maybe a willingness to attack the line more.
True, but experience gives you control. And in a high-pressure game like this, a quarterfinal rematch, maybe control is the thing you just can't compromise on. Our sources seem to suggest a kind of middle ground might be likely. Maybe start Feinberg-Mngomezulu, but make absolutely sure Pollard or Leboeck is right there on the bench. An immediate insurance policy. Sort of hedges the bet.
It does. It basically means Rassie might be willing to accept maybe a slight risk on, say, game management or kicking accuracy early on, knowing full well he can bring on a World Cup winner to steady the ship and close the game out if needed.
And that decision feeds right into headache number 4. Who partners Damien de Allende at outside center, number 13? We're sort of assuming de Allende starts at 12, so that the choice is between the guy in form, Canan Moodie, or the established veteran Jesse Creel.
Well, the de Allende-Creel partnership is almost historic at this point. They've played together 40 times, including, crucially, in that World Cup quarterfinal win against France. Creel gives you that proven defensive structure, that alignment, and that's absolutely critical against a French side that just thrives on quick turnover ball, exploiting any little gap.
Okay, so Creel for structure, but then Canan Moodie. He's really impressed at 13, hasn't he? Especially later in the Rugby Championship. He brings a different kind of attacking flair, definitely more speed maybe. If Rassie wants to attack France, take the game to them outside the set piece, Moodie feels like the more aggressive attacking choice.
Yeah, and this choice, Moodie or Creel, it almost perfectly encapsulates the potential game plan, doesn't it? Picking Creel probably means you're prioritizing that rigid defense, that structure. Picking Moodie signals maybe more intent to maximize attacking opportunities. But, against France's powerful wings and their ability to strike quickly, sometimes structure does win out over flair.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because these calls, 10, 13, and 3 out, they really are the kind of decisions that can win or lose huge matches like this, especially when you factor in the bench strategy Rassie's likely to use. So we really want to know what you think. Moodie or Creel at 13? Drop us a comment below, let us know your reasoning, and hey, don't forget to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive for more expert analysis like this. Right, let's talk tactics now. The specific weapons Rassie might be holding back. The final headache seems to revolve around who covers hooker from the bench and just perfecting that overall bench split.
Yeah. Headache number 5. The replacement hooker. It's definitely made trickier by Wessels being unavailable. It leaves the Boks with only 2, let's call them out-and-out hookers. You've got Malcolm Marx, who looks like he's back to playing his absolute best rugby. He'll almost certainly start. And then Johan Grobbelaar.
But this is Rassie Erasmus we're talking about. Yeah. There's always a strategic curveball somewhere, isn't there? Something designed to maximize impact later in the game. What's the potential curveball here?
Well, the curveball, and our sources flag this as perhaps an unlikely scenario, but still possible, involves Marco van Staarden, the Bulls' flanker, providing emergency front row cover. Now, why would you risk a flanker at hooker? Well, because Rassie might be thinking about maximizing Marx's impact differently. Maybe Van Staarden starts, incredibly, with Marx coming off the bench, the ultimate bomb squad move, or perhaps more likely, Van Staarden covers the position from the bench, but his primary role is actually to aggressively target France's breakdown, an area where they can be vulnerable. While Marx plays maybe the full 80, he's capable.
Wow, okay. That positional flexibility is crucial then. Yeah. Especially when you look at the overall bench split strategy. We know Fabien Galfi in French camp loves that 7-1 split sometimes. 7 forwards on the bench to guarantee just overwhelming forward power in the last 20 minutes. He's likely to go with that, or at least a 6-2. How do the Bulls counter that?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Rassie seems reluctant to go full 7-1 himself this year. The expected Bok answer looks like a twist on the 6-2 split. And the key here is utilizing the continued development of Andre Esterhuizen. Now, just to be clear, Esterhuizen is a world-class center, obviously, but they're using his immense size, his tackling power, to effectively act as a sixth forward on that bench.
Right, so he's not suddenly becoming a flanker overnight. He's a backline player, but one who offers the tactical impact of an extra forward if needed. That's clever. That's how Rassie counters Galthi's power game without completely sacrificing backline cover.
Precisely. His presence on the bench gives them cover in the midfield, maybe even on the wing at a push, but also allows them to tactically use him almost like a quasi-flanker in certain defensive sets late in the game. It gives Erasmus huge versatility to combat whatever Galthi throws at him.
So who else likely fills those bench spots then?
Well, you can pretty confidently expect Huguaga Smith to be there. Another breakdown menace. Second row cover will be absolutely key. Maybe R.G. Snyman, perhaps John Klein or Ruben Nche. They'll be supporting the likely starters, Eben Etzebeth and Lud de Jager. Then for the backline cover, it'll almost certainly be Grant Williams for his speed at 9. And then one of those 3 fly-halves we talked about, whichever one doesn't start. That positional flexibility we mentioned, Van Staden potentially covering hooker, Esterhuizen acting as that hybrid player that feels like the strategic heart of the bench selection. It's all designed to give Rassie the edge over Galthi when the game inevitably breaks down late on.
Okay, so just to quickly recap the sheer depth of these dilemmas. Losing the rush forced this really risky front row restructure, probably focusing on getting the most out of Thomas du Toit's versatility. Then there's that high wire act at fly-half, balancing the incredible youth and, frankly, genius of Feinberg Mongo Mazulu against the cool control offered by Pollard or Libbuck. And finally, it's about perfecting that bench split, deploying those tactical curve balls like Esterhuizen, maybe Van Staden, right when it matters in that crucial final quarter. So what does this all mean? I think the complexity of just these 5 decisions really shows that Rassie Erasmus isn't just picking a team here. He's constructing a really multi-layered strategic gamble. And the real question, maybe the one for you to mull over, is this. Will that specific strategic decision, maybe prioritizing du Toit's versatility across the front row over, say, Venter's current form at loosehead, could that be the defining match-winning move of this colossal encounter? If you found some clarity in all this complexity, please do hit subscribe to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive right now.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we will look forward to you listening to our next episode.